A big thanks and hello to Ray Feather, founder and CEO of Ray Feather, a luxury resort wear and accessories brand that has been hailed by Walpole as one of the brands of tomorrow. The Ray Feather brand story began back in 2013 when Ray saw a gap in the market for resort wear that ticked all the boxes. Comfort, style and natural fabrics were really focal to the initial product range. And as a traveller at heart, Ray's background sought inspiration for her first collection from her extensive travel experience and diary. Breezy pyjamas that can be wear as beachwear, simple cotton tees, perfect plain outfit and eclectic accessories really elevated that look that Ray Feather projected. And at a launch photo shoot in Portugal, there was a monogrammed straw basket that really took over on Instagram. And Ray Feather immediately, as a brand, became inundated with requests for this simple woven bag. And it became crowned as the must-have accessory for the beach. Then as we moved through to a couple of years later, in 2015, inspired by the success, particularly of this basket bag and the new product range that have been launched, Ray decided to expand upon this more into accessories, woven clutches, canvas totes, all with this personalised signature sort of stripe motif and hand-painted monogram. And then in 2018, as I mentioned, the brand was named as one of Walpole's brands of tomorrow and began to expand on the current existing resort wear at that point and add like simple silhouettes, natural textiles, and all with that boho spirit that had really started to define the Ray Feather brand. And moving through to today, you work closely with expert artisans, with lots of blended time-honoured craft skills and contemporary design pieces. So there we go. Well done on what you've achieved so far, Ray. You must be so proud of the brand and this following that you've built up, particularly through social media, Instagram, mentioned there around the initial bag that really took off from that very first photo shoot. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about how it all started, how you came up with the idea originally for the Ray Feather brand?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Steve.
Okay.
I wish I'd had a little blow dry beforehand, mind you. But the brand started in 2013. Mm-hmm. I had been I've always loved to travel and I've always loved resort wear. And basically it started off more as a lifestyle brand. And the focus and the target was always for it to become a lifestyle brand, which I think we're encapsulating that more and more and more as the brand grows.
Yeah.
So it was basically, I wanted to do something that would I found myself wearing this, looking for the perfect white t-shirt, looking for the perfect shirt, looking for things that I could wear time and time again. And I found them very easily, but sometimes I didn't find the quality that I was looking at. And sometimes if I found the quality, the price didn't match. So my idea was to create things around that. Now, the journey of the brand, with everything that you've said, has been really, it's been a real roller coaster because of many things. And when in discussions like this, it's always important to point those things out because I think it helps younger brands and helps me even to remind myself of our journey. But the brand started as that, and then we got into stock issues. And when you've got so much money tied up in stock and stock that's not shifting, it's a completely unsustainable business. So we grew too fast, and that was a combination of ignorance and suppliers. So the suppliers that we were working with would only work with us if we were ordering in the quantities that they specified. And you're thinking, okay, well, fine, we'll take. But in fact, it didn't work. So I think that's a challenge for many young brands these days. And it's something we, in fact, have not gone into huge quantities by any means. But on the other hand, we've found suppliers that are willing to work with us and kind of take a chance and thinking, okay, well, if they're doing this now, maybe they'll do that then, and so on. So we found ourselves in a pretty difficult position. And as you quite rightly say, a photo shoot in Portugal, wherein I had bought the basket the original basket was actually from a supplier in Portugal who hand painted it for me. We used it in the photo shoot, and basically all the magazines within days were, and I say this with every ounce of modesty as well. I had no idea what was going to happen. But that kind of gave us a different identity. It gave us it gave us actually something that, and again I say this modestly, gave us something that was kind of like every brand's dream, and we didn't even know it was happening to us at the time. Now,
fantastic.
With that though went a number of challenges. Every piece was hand painted. We were sourcing baskets from one place. We just couldn't keep up with demand. We also, because we weren't expecting, we didn't have any idea this was going to happen. So we were using materials at the time. For example, paint was flaking, and there were all sorts of issues. But anyway, bottom line was over a period of about a year, and it took a year, we managed to find solutions for all those things. And the baskets and all monogram that you buy today, when we were getting returns, a lot of returns for retail and so on. We don't get those anymore. There are, of course, things happen, but in general, that's fine. That area has been sorted. So then when we felt more comfortable with the with the brand being a little bit looking like it was a bit more sustainable, we decided that it was then time to introduce beach resort wear back into it. So in actual fact, it's only last year that we reintroduced clothing into our collection. Monogram goods were our primary kind of our primary product category, and then lockdown came along, and people weren't traveling. But luckily we had other products in place. That the slippers, for example, became a really major product for us through lockdown. Pajamas, which we now do. And then more recently, we launched our first collection of loungewear, which became our kind of our best-selling category and continues to be. So the journey has been, I think, my father always said, "You make your own luck," but I think there has been an element of luck, definitely, within what we've done, and it's been, but it's been a very, very, very rocky road, and one that I've learned a huge amount.
That's great.
Having traveled that road.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's listening to what you're saying and knowing the brand, you had that initial spike that you couldn't even have anticipated in terms of the popularity of particularly that initial product, that, straw basket that really stuck out. But then you also couldn't have anticipated, given with that success, some of the challenges that came with it, essentially. So you're sort of learning as you go. And it's great to learn how you've pivoted over the past 12 months as well. How do you manage to keep that style, like the monogram look, that signature style, bohemian style, about the new, because it's quite a different type of product range, loungewear, to some of your other.
Yeah, someone always said, always stay on brand. And it depends, I guess, for so many, what defines your brand. And I think we've had to be quite pivotal in how we see it. I think when I think about, don't move off brand, I think that has to be that thing wherein someone looks at it and says, that's Ray Feather. And I think sometimes that's put together through styling and so on. And it is something that, every so often we do something and it's like, is this really on brand? Is this really who we are? And I think for so many, if you look at, some of the biggest success, like White Company, for example, it's immediately identifiable as a White Company product. However, their product categories are pretty enormous. So it's all about quality, and it's about color, and for us, it's about never moving away from. I don't see us as a fashion brand, for example. I see us I see us. I don't think that we follow trends. I don't think that we sell and try to bring things to the market that have got longevity. And going back to your question, that with longevity, slippers, monogram goods are definitely sustainable pieces because they're not throwaway items. My phone case, for example, with Ray on it, for example, I'm not going to change that. I love my phone case. And it's the
nice
same
phone
with,
case.
you know, with I didn't make that phone case, by the way. But slippers, for example, you know, people grow to like things with the initials on them, and they can't sell them, and it kind of when something has your name on it and it's monogrammed, it gives its ownership. It's like you want to keep it.
Yeah, I understand. And that style, that brand style, your reference brand there, do you feel, because you're quite active yourself, aren't you? I mean, the name is a bit of a giveaway, I suppose, in terms of it's named after yourself, but it's always struck me that you're actually quite active in choosing the products as well. Is that correct? Or, you know, so when you're creating the brand, you're priding that consistency because you're involved as you have been since the start.
Well, this is interesting because interesting for other people, because I started the brand later. So I'd worked in other industries in marketing mainly up until my late 40s. And I therefore, and I guess my children were a little older. I didn't, thank goodness, I don't know what I'd have done if I was doing homeschooling right now. And I basically, because of all because we've had all our challenges along the way. As the brand grew initially, I outsourced a lot of things, and I brought people in to help them. And I realized that I was losing track of what I was doing every single week, to the point that sometimes we're now such a tight team. We've actually only got 3 people in the office, and we've got one person to watch, and we've got, I mean, our team is tiny. We're so lean right now. We seriously, full time, we're 2 people. So myself and another girl are the only 2 members of the team. Another lady is 4 days a week. Our accountant is 2 days a week. And then dispatch is, well, Faye is almost full time. She's 4 days a week, but kind of does the work with 3 men. And it was one of the things, I'm going off track on what your question was, I think, a little bit, but no, not really. So with that, when we had to become lean, and we had to become very lean in order to make the business, to turn the business around, and to basically, and we had to cut our costs. And with that, I took ownership of every single department that involved in the business. So I know exactly, and I say this I'm telling you this because it changed the business. Whenever I started to learn what was actually, and I only really learned all of this at the beginning of lockdown, because everyone else was furloughed, and there was huge fear, and quite rightly so, surrounding all that was COVID. And I was by myself in the office, and I had to do everything myself. And therefore, I was able to understand the business a lot more. And that went right down to production. So we used to have people that worked in production, we had people that worked in lining, and so on. I took all that back. And I've always done my own marketing. So I do all my Instagram posts. I plan most of our marketing. I do my own blogs. And I work pretty much in every single now. That doesn't mean that I do it right from start to finish, but I can now, I'm the main point of contact for example, I've got a girl called Ria who worked with me for a long, long time, and she now is a consultant to me. So she does a week, and we've got a really strong friendship. So we speak a lot. And if I've got any problems, I say, what about this? She's on hand the whole time to help me out. So
Hmm.
I think that one of the most important things, we're a tiny business still. We may seem
Yeah.
like we're a bigger business, but at this point in the business, that's what the business requires. And
Yeah.
from my personal point of view, I feel that, because it just
Yeah.
means that I can steer the business in the direction that I want to steer it.
No, makes sense. And that, that makes perfect sense around the brand as well. That carry that consistency through.
I
You're
won't
obviously
be able
hands
to
on.
do it if we continue
Uh-huh.
with growth that we're experiencing, which again is it's a very slow road, but we are experiencing growth at the moment. And I think if we keep experiencing that level of growth, we'll have to obviously look
Yeah.
at employing other people. But in general,
Yeah.
this is what the business requires right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned Instagram before. You run your own Instagram. You publish quite a bit, sort of video wise, imagery, and you've built a great following and engagement through Instagram. I just wanted to mention, is it On the Bed with Ray
Yes.
that started recently? Great. I watched one over the weekend. Might have been the first one, where you ran through the different products. And one thing that's always struck me from your Instagram as well, which I think consciously or not otherwise is a great move, is you invite people into your home. I've seen sort of videos and photos on your stories and so forth of you cooking. I know that's a pastime that you like to engage in, and so people are seeing the authenticity of you as an individual, and therefore seeing the authenticity of the brand and your heritage that's from an Irish background and so forth. So you get a lot of that through your Instagram. And is that a conscious effort? Have you set out to say, right, well, I want to invite people into the brand. I want them to know everything about me, or is it just a simple case of you being yourself and or a combination of those things, really?
I personally think there's a fine line between oversharing and undersharing. I think it's kind of that thing. It's very difficult to find that line. And I also think that I don't believe there is oversharing. There is undersharing. I think it's what the individual's comfortable with. I think that there are definitely times wherein I think, oh, I'll share that, and then I think, no, I'm not going to be interested in my red lentil dal tonight, or something like that. I think there is a thing, is a line, and as time goes on, I've really, to say created boundaries is wrong. They're my boundaries. They're boundaries that I think that somebody's not going to be interested, as opposed to me showing too much of my personal personality. I think it's kind of what I know, what I like to see people doing, and I like authenticity. And I like realness, and I like seeing the truth. The truth to a degree, because I don't think I could be that person. It's a bit like us changing our whole ethos behind the brand, or start doing fast fashion and start using poor fabrics and things. It would just be wrong. So from that point of view, for sure, I think there has to be authenticity, and I think there has to be a line, I guess. My kids would tell me if I was posting pictures of them every day, or I think it just has to be something that you're comfortable with.
Absolutely. And I think you got a great balance. It's just an observation, really. And I suppose the compliment really in all of that is,
I'd say I've posted things that maybe we're borderline at times, but in general, I think I've got it now. I think it's
definitely,
and I've also posted, and then an hour later gone, that's too much, and taken it down again. I'm not
I
don't take down very often, but the odd time that I will. And I think the other thing actually that's really important to point out at this stage, if there are any young brands watching this at some point, or someone is, I think it's that thing of also, at the beginning, whenever Instagram first became, everyone saw the power of Instagram and social media and so on. I think everyone was looking at numbers and kind of going, oh yeah, but she only gets this amount of whatever, and being disappointed with yourself if you don't get X amount of likes or X amount of engagement. And I personally, I was guilty of that a little bit as well, for sure. But as time goes on, I don't even look at the numbers anymore. I'm comfortable enough in what I'm doing myself within the brand to not look at numbers and think that's going to define the product or define the brand. So
Yeah.
I think, that's made it easier as well, because you no longer are you, having this conversation in your own head where you're going, oh, I better
Absolutely.
not
Yeah.
post, or I shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
It's not, it's, my advice to anybody whenever they're using social media,
Yeah.
if you're comfortable with what you post and you're comfortable enough in your product, don't look at the numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really interesting topic, actually, a really interesting dichotomy, because I think, in my experience, most people do, and understandably so, because there's only so many measurable KPIs, if you like, likes and engagement,
Yeah,
views,
absolutely.
and you want to try and measure, particularly from a marketing perspective, which I know you're the brand owner as well, and you're talking about your own brand, so it's slightly different. But it's almost a hurdle that most people seem to have to overcome when they first engage in social media, be
And
that
it's really
Instagram or,
normal. It's
yeah,
absolutely right. I've done it, but I genuinely, the odd time I look and think, oh, well, that didn't do very well. But then we find that day sales are really good on that particular
yeah,
product. So
yeah,
just because, I mean, I know what I'm, apparently the time on a picture is something like 0.5 of a, it's like, as you go through, you might not like every single thing. And
yeah,
I have to teach myself every so often, even whenever that with other brands that I follow and that I respect and really love. Sometimes I don't like their photographs, but I'll
yeah,
remember them and I'll remember
yeah.
what they are. So
Makes sense. Makes sense. And this new development on the bed with Ray, you ran through some of the new products that you've got that you're introducing. There's a bag on there, a different type of bag that had got a bit of traction. I think because of one of the things you pointed out is quite flexible, and so forth. There was an artisan product, a cushion, which is an example from more of your artisan range. You referenced a few things like your love of Valentine's Day and so on and so forth. Do you want to talk us a little bit through a little bit of the new stuff that you've got coming in?
So right now, actually, we've got a tiny wee bit of a delay on our next drop. So we were fortunate in that we had a local lady called Susan Rose, and she makes bone china and personalized bone china. We did a collaboration with her and an illustrator called Heather Lafleur, and we came up with mugs that were very much geared towards Valentine's Day, but at the same time they're great gifting pieces. So we brought those in. Pajamas became, that's a product category that we're doing something a little bit different, so people like those. We've got new loungewear coming. With regards to the new bag that we've got coming, it was something that we've had that fabric from maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and it's sitting there winking at me every so often. I thought, okay, let's do this, because we know that our tote sells. It's a little bit different, but we can monogram it and we see how they go. And I think so much of what we do as well is we now know that we've got a kind of a sweet spot for what people see as an affordable and something they want to spend within the ethos of the brand, because they know they're getting quality versus. And I think we're much more conscious of that now. And I think it's one of those things that you can ask yourself whenever you look at something, would I buy that for that? Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what we do now, and with regards to our price points and so on. So everything that's there is pretty much within the realm of that ethos. And now that once we kind of got through the whole kind of COVID thing, we're now having to Brexit, and now there's fabrics held up in different places and so on. So again, I guess coming back to what you said before, it's that thing of being, you're the master of your ship, so to speak. I don't know if that's the right word, but you basically the captain of your ship, and you basically steer it in the way. And sometimes you've got to act really fast in order to come up with something that needs to fill a gap for a period of time. Your income has, you've got to keep cash flow coming in. You've got to be original, and you've got to be true, and all of those things.
Yeah, and I guess when hopefully we move to a point of a more normal environment, we can travel again. That's part of the heritage of the brand. On the background of your love for travel. And some of the imagery that you've posted in the past on through the Ray Feather platform on Instagram, amazing some of the locations you've been to. Really envious of
That's
some
all
of those
done in a
places.
really, I think, for the purpose of what we're talking about today, and in order to kind of give a little bit of insight, that is done so leanly as well. Basically finding girls as well that don't need too much hair and makeup.
Okay.
Keeping it as natural as possible. Finding places that you can shoot that aren't restrictive.
Yeah.
Finding photographers that don't give you any parameters to which you can work to, that mean both financially and also creatively. And some people might find they need that. There's definitely times whenever I've had support from stylists and other people that have been very valued. But I think at this stage of the business, this is what is required for us, and that is being inventive. And it's that thing at the moment. We're for the first time ever, actually, we're not in a position to do a lifestyle shoot because we can't travel.
Okay.
We can't even travel. And we're just having a meeting about this on Friday, and I said to the girls, we didn't have to have a backdrop before because we had a sand dune and blue sky and colorful clothing, and that kind of sold it. Whereas now, we're in talks with a studio at the moment about doing a shoot. They presented the other day, and I was like, this is all so bland, and I don't really want to do that. And we're now trying to have to think out of the box and what we can do within studios and so on.
Which is a big shift. Which is a big shift from where you've come from,
right? It can also change the whole identity of who you are. I looked at they came up with some ideas, and I just said, there's just no soul there for us. We need to go back, and they were so receptive to it as well. They're like, no, you're right. Come on, we can do this. So.
It sounds
also really, and if you find the right partners and things, people are also really receptive to your ideas.
Yeah. It sounds like you pivoted amazingly well, given that where the brand was before and the things that you're known for, and how you pivoted the product range, but also adapted to some of those scenarios like that, particularly the travel aspects, because that's so integral to the brand. And I guess you'll be looking forward to when those restrictions are lifted, and hopefully in the future.
I think
you can go back on those shoots.
I think that we're all ready for something, for sure. I live in the middle of the countryside, and as far as I also was traveling every month. And I was sourcing, at least 6 months of the year. That's all stopped, and actually it's been I won't travel as much as I did before. Absolutely won't have to travel as much. And we'll also be much more I think we'll be much more economical with our time, for sure. But I think for us, for the brand, I think like everybody, we just need freshness, and we need people to get out, and people want to travel. I was having a conversation 5 minutes before I came into the meeting with you, and one of the girls in the office said, she was saying, I just want to travel again. And the other girl said, no, I'm okay with it. And I said, you know what? I'm okay with it as well at the moment. But I think for everyone, it's time. I think for kids, it's time. Adults and kids are amazing. They've dealt with this so well. But I think it's been really tough on them. So tough on them. They're ready. We need to get them out and get lots of them free and get them away from screens and
good stuff. And what's next for the brand then? What have you got planned for the future? Are you able to share anything?
Well, the thing about I have to keep very tight. I have to be controlled. If it was up to me, I'd be doing all sorts of things, which would be wrong for the brand. So I think what we're doing is we're just going to stick with what we're doing right now. We're actually doing a little bit of footwear this year, which I'm very excited about. And we're doing our autumn winter collection, which will be our second one for a long time. It's going to be a lot more knit driven. It's going to be comfort. It's going to be at the heart: comfort, versatility, quality, are going to be at the heart of what we're doing. But as far as the product itself is concerned, just try, as I said before, and stay as much on brand and true to ourselves as possible.
Yeah, great. That's a great way to be, and a really good thought process that, Ray. One last thing, really, one last area that I wanted to touch on. I usually ask people around this because it's, I think, more pertinent than ever with some of the challenges we're under with COVID and so forth. But around mental health and well-being, and I like to get the perspective of, you know, leaders, if you like, brand leaders or business leaders around, you know, how if you place focus on this, and if you do, how do you sort of look after yourself, if you like, as a bit of inspirational advice for others? I read that you're quite into swimming usually, and you know, you swim quite often, is that right? You know, sometimes 4 or 5 times a week, and that helps you keep sort of physically, you see the physical benefits of that. But is that something you do to sort of get away from things as well? And do you see any sort of well-being benefits from that?
Yeah, it's kind of like my it's my yoga, I guess. And you know, I'm not by no means. I tried doing yoga so many times. I'm not very good at focusing that much. And I find that I've swam since I was very little. I used to swim at school, and it's kind of I had an interesting thing happen. I worked with a trainer for a while, and we were we were training. I was in Portugal for a long spell. I had a shop in Portugal for a while, so I had a guy come and help me motivate me. And he said to me one day, "You are hating this, aren't you?" And I said, I have no words to tell you how much I'm not enjoying this. I said, I just don't like it. And there's a pool nearby, and he said to me, "Get in the pool." And we'd never had the conversation about swimming before.
Right.
Said, "Do 20 lengths." And I got in the pool, and he came out and he said, "You know what? Just do that all the time." He said, "Okay, you're comfortable in the water. You can see that you're comfortable and confident, and it just makes me happy." And I now make a decision. There's an outdoor pool quite close to me, which hasn't been open for a while. But I make a decision when I get in every day that I'm just going to try and think good thoughts while I'm in there. And I'm not like racing up and down. I go at my pace, and I think about as many nice things as I can while I'm in there.
Great.
And I love swimming in the sea. I love cold water swimming as well. Not this cold. But when I can, I like to swim in the sea as well. And
fantastic.
I think it's just I'm not a natural athlete, so being in the water, I don't have to. I can just do my thing.
Great. No, I can really see that, the escapism as well, and quite lucky, I suppose, to have like an outdoor sort of swimming pool.
Exactly.
I know that in Cheshire, where my wife's from, they have one as well, close to there where she grew up, and particularly in summer, it's just an amazing thing to be able to have. So you know, I can certainly see that. It's great. And one last thing to round off, I suppose, I just wanted to say, happy birthday. It's birthday today. I've got a little cake that I bought
from
sweet. The local bakers. Popped out. So I'll be enjoying that with my lunch after this.
That's really kind of you. And thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
No, thank you. And it's been great learning about the brand, and I'm sure we'll speak soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Steve. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.